Hello, Mr. Adit. Today we want to present about the lack of protection of LGBT users in social media. Before that, I want to introduce my group that contains of 5 people. Me, myself is Dimas Harry. There's Astrid Ruth Ulina, Gianni, Erza Vito, and Leah. So, first of all, there's the Stonewall riots, marked the beginning of the modern-day gay rights movement. The Stonewall riots were a series of spontaneous protests by members of the gay community in response to a police raid on the Stonewall Hotel in the Greenwich Village neighborhood of Lower Manhattan, New York City, that began in the early hours of June 28, 1969. Next, the mother of pride. Howard was born in the Bronx, New York City, and grew up in a Jewish family in Syosset, New York. She is graduate of Syosset High School and Borough of Manhattan Community College with an AAS in nursing. In the late 1960s, Howard became active in the anti-Vietnam War movement. In 1969, she was living in downtown Brooklyn, New York, an urban neighborhood of anti-war activists and draft dodgers. Like many other women in the American anti-war movement at the time, Howard was critical of male dominance and soon became embroiled in the feminist movement as well. For more than 3 decades, Howard was a radical activist involved in the LGBT rights movement, an active member of the Gay Liberation Front and chair of the Post Office for the Gay Activist Coalition, spokesperson for many years, Stonewall era. A fixture in New York City's LGBT community, Howard was active in the Coalition for Lesbian and Gay Rights, which helped guide New York City's gay rights law through the City Council in 1986, as well as ACT UP and Queer Nation.
LGBT in Indonesia. Indonesia has a rich history of homosexuality and transgender people. This fact contradicts the common belief that they are Western imports. It is time that people stop considering homosexuality and transgender as a product of Western culture. Indonesian culture has long been accustomed to gender diversity before colonialism and modernity exerted their strong influence in the society. Most Indonesian people look down on LGBT community, and they are often think that LGBT community is something that it's disgusting. Based on a survey, more than 40% of respondents consider that LGBT is very threatening. Meanwhile, only 9.4% of respondents said that LGBT people were not threatening. Another reason underlying not accepting LGBT in Indonesia is religious teaching that forbid it. Oftentimes, the LGBT community expresses itself through posting photos or status on social media. And then there are not a few comments from netizens that drop them and rob them of their self-confidence. Not only giving negative comment, there are also many cases where netizens often make fun of LGBT community.
So how is the issue perceived in Europe? In Europe, homosexuality and transgender people are accepted by law and by people in the majority of countries. They are allowed to express themselves as they want. However, they do not always have the same rights. For example, homosexual people cannot have children and be married in each country. And furthermore, discrimination is still present at some levels. The European Commission published that 49% of LGBT people declared that they felt discriminated because they do not always feel to show affection or show their own personality in the public sphere. And so this is why many organizations such as the European Commissions are implementing strategy to ensure equality between everyone. And so lots of campaigns are led by activists or even governments to make accepted differences by everyone, and especially through social networks.
Cyberbullying towards the LGBTQ community. What is cyberbullying? According to UNICEF, cyberbullying is bullying with the use of digital technologies, and it can take place in several social media platforms such as Instagram, Twitter, and even in gaming platforms. It is harmful and can scarce someone for life. Still in the topic of cyberbullying, the LGBTQ community is one of the most common victims of this malicious action, especially in a conservative country like Indonesia. Many people in the internet still view the community as these disgusting people even though they didn't harm anybody.
Okay, and here is the data on cyberbullying. First data is that most teenagers, over 80% of them, now use a mobile device regularly, opening them up to new avenues for bullying. The second data is half of all young adults have experienced cyberbullying in some form. A further 10 to 20% are reported experiencing it regularly. The third data are cyberbullying and suicide may be linked in some ways. Around 80% of young people who commit suicide have depressive thoughts. Cyberbullying often leads to more suicidal thoughts than traditional bullying. The source is from JAMA Pediatrics. And the next data is almost 37% of kids have been cyberbully victims. Around 30% have been victimized more than once. The source is from dosomething.org. The next data, as you can see, is that 81% of students said they'd be more likely to intervene in cyberbullying if they could do so anonymously. Meaning it's either they stand up for bullying online or just do it anonymously offline. I don't know how to do it. The source is from dosomething.org. The next data is that a UK survey of more than 10,000 youths discovered that 60% reported witnessing abusive online behavior directed toward another person. The source of this data is from youngminds.org. The same UK survey that I said before this also discovered that 83% of young adults believe social networks do not do enough to prevent cyberbullying. And the source is from dosomething.org. And this, as you can see, is a map of cyberbullying facts and statistics between the year 2018 and 2022. And as you can see, the more green the circle are, the more percentage of respondents who say current laws are enough for cyberbullying, and the more area are, meaning that there are more anti-bullying law in place. As you can see, in United States, USA, the area is gray, meaning that there are at least one anti-bullying law in place, and there are around average amount of percentage respondents who say current laws are enough for cyberbullying. And here in Indonesia, it's a bit white gray, meaning there are several anti-bullying law in place, even though it's not nationwide. And I feel like they don't do the survey on Indonesia. So let's see in Australia. The area is covered in gray to bluish, meaning there are at least one anti-bullying law in place, the same as USA, but the circle is meaning that at least probably 20 respondents who say current laws are enough for cyberbullying, which is less than the USA. And here in Russia, as you can see, it's slightly pink, meaning there are less to none anti-bullying law in place. But the circle is green, meaning that there are more percentage of respondents who say current laws are enough for cyberbullying, even though there are less to none anti-bullying law in place. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, that's all for our video today. And the conclusion is the LGBTQ community still face some discrimination and bullying online, even in some first world country such as USA or Europe, especially in Indonesia. So we hope that I know that there are people who are religious and can accept the LGBTQ community, but at least don't bully them online, or at least don't bully anyone online. And based on what I said, based on the data of cyberbullying, there are multiple people that commit suicide because of cyberbullying. So we hope that what we present today or what we tell you today should inspire you, or should inspire you to not do cyberbullying, or if you already done cyberbullying, hopefully not. We hope that you will never do it again, and be kind to everyone or offline. Thank you.